Welcome to a very special edition of Weddings Done Right. My name is Pat Harris, and this is
Jody Harris.
And we're both from Sight and Sound Events. We've been here in Las Vegas for over 25 years now, and I started in the business back in the 80s, and that's all I'm going to tell you. But this is a very special episode because today we're going to be talking about why now is the worst time to go cheap.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now is not the time, ladies and gentlemen, to go out there and look for deals. I mean, we're all looking for deals, but now with what's going on in the world of COVID-19 and cases that are, starting to increase a little bit, now's the time not to go cheap. You really, really do need to know who you are working with.
So we're going to talk about the difference between cheap and
professional
and really and how you can reduce your budget while still keeping professionals in play. How to reduce your budget, and we had another episode of our Spotlight show where we talked about doing smaller events of 50 or less that covered a lot of this as well. But what is the most important reason why this is the worst time to go cheap? The worst time to go start looking on Craigslist for your venues and your vendors. Well, simply because your life may be at stake. And I don't want to clickbait this and make this seem over dramatic, but the reality is that the level of professionalism that goes into companies that are taking the proper steps to keep themselves and their guests safe is at a very high level. And I can tell you that we've spent countless hours over the last several months going over lots and lots of processes in order to keep everybody safe. Now, that's great. We've done that, and we're making sure we're doing everything we can to keep people safe. Isn't everybody doing that? Is usually the question, and the answer is going to be no. The reality is that one of the things that we've even seen within our own industry is a lot of people that do what we do are going back to business as usual.
Correct.
And really making minimal to no changes on how they do things. Maybe they'll have a mask with them. Maybe they'll. But there's really little that they've done throughout these 3 months other than
watch Netflix. Maybe they're watching the Tiger King or something like that.
Exactly.
That's what they're doing.
It's like, I've run out of shows to binge watch. Well, maybe you should have been watching podcasts.
They have no idea
webinars.
what a Zoom is. They never Zoom. They don't follow industry associations and what industries are doing. And they're relying on venues basically to tell them. Instead of being a partner with a venue, instead of working with that venue together hand in hand to make sure that everybody is safe, not only, are your guests safe, but the team that's working at your venue safe, and your team, and the team members that work for the company safe. So it's super, super important. Like, what have they been doing the last 3 months?
Well, and if this is just sort of as we would call it, a side hustle for you, you're probably putting zero effort into trying to figure this out because you have a regular job and you're just this is just side money for you. So I know this sounds very negative, but this is a very important topic. And again, it's very much your health at risk. So, and even like we talked about venues, if you rely upon a venue to tell you what you have to do, what happens when you do a private party at somebody's house? They don't have any standards. They don't have any policies and procedures in place for this.
Correct.
Yeah. So you have to have figured that out on your own. So it's really critical to find somebody, one, that has been professional enough to actually educate themselves during this time down and learn what they need to do to mitigate the risks for everybody. There is no guarantee. There is no way, folks. I'm telling you right now, there's no way to guarantee that you're not going to catch this or anything else. There's no way to guarantee you're not going to get hit by a car when you leave your house. So that being said, what we really need to do is mitigate risk. In other words, reduce the chance of something bad happening. And that's where professionals come into play. So I'm not just talking about ourselves. We're talking about people like ourselves within our industry.
We're talking about photographers, videographers, florists, caterers, DJs, anybody that services the wedding and event industry definitely needs to be safe. And one of the things that really, really bugs me is, like, you should be asking questions like,
Yeah.
Where are you during the week? Like, I know my event is on a Saturday, July 11th, let's say 7-Eleven. That's a good day. And I know I'm having my event 7-Eleven, but like, and we're looking for, a discount, DJ. I mean, where is this discount DJ been hanging out? Where's DJ Bobo been hanging out for the last 24 to 48 hours? Is he in a club?
Well, the last 2 weeks, really.
Yeah, or 2 weeks. Is he in a club? I mean, if somebody who does this as a side hustle, maybe they're working in a club somewhere.
Maybe they're working in a high-risk environment or exposing themselves to high-risk areas.
Or maybe they were out protesting.
Yeah.
Or hanging out in a bar. Or these are questions, ladies and gentlemen, that you need to start asking.
You need to know, and most professionals are going to self-regulate that. They're going to reduce their risk because they know that they have to in order to stay in business, they have to keep themselves and their clients and the venues and the people that they work with safe. And that means reducing your risk. Again, not eliminating it. There's no such thing, but reducing their risk. So what goes into reducing risk? Well, one is educating yourself. We all see the things on the news, and the reality is if you watch the news, you think the world's coming to an end. It's not. But you have to get off of the news and go to the professionals that are actually doing this. We've actually worked with our DJ think tank group, as well as an organization out of New York City, which was one of the hardest hits, if not the hardest hit areas in the United States. And these are the top entertainment companies and venues in New York that got together and said, how are we going to get back to work? We've talked to the people here in Las Vegas, some of the people at the casinos that this, again, could be a hotspot if you're not careful. How do we keep it safe? They really want to keep it safe here. And trust me, they're putting a ton of technology and thought into making sure that their guests are safe and that their events are safe. So by taking all of these together, we have come up with processes to keep our people safe, to keep you safe, to keep the people we work with safe. And I keep saying that because it's critical to drive home that only professionals are doing this.
Absolutely. And you need to ask these questions instead of asking somebody or emailing them. So how much do you charge for 3 hours? You need to pick up the phone. You need to talk. This is your life that depends on
this is not a time to be emailing for prices.
And that's it. You need to ask questions. You need to connect with people. You need to see, do they even have this on their website? Do they have it on their social media? What are they doing?
Or a simple question, ask them what they've done and what policies they have in place for COVID safety.
And if they say nothing, I do whatever, I wear a mask, run.
I wear a mask.
For your life. I have some hand sanitizer and,
if there's no thought put into it.
Oh, wear a mask. I mean, that's somebody who just doesn't give a crap, folks.
Yeah,
I'm going to call it like it is.
If they don't care about their own safety, they're not going to care about your safety. If they haven't put the time into figuring it out, they're not going to put the time into making sure that everybody at your event is safe.
And they should wear it loud and they should wear it proud.
Absolutely.
So it shouldn't be hidden away. You shouldn't have to ask the question. If you're shopping around and you're looking for somebody, it needs to be out there because this is a new world we live in right now.
For now, yes. A year from now, it may be different. But for now, we have to do this. We have to keep these procedures in place. And one of the things that we're going to show you, so just even the basics that we give to all of our people ahead of time. Now that's much more detailed and involved in this. But basically, everybody gets, and we'll talk a little bit more about what else they get. They're going to be getting this little sign, which basically is going to remind them of all the things that they have to do, making sure that they check their temperature. Because again, we're as an entertainment company, all of our DJs and everybody else is out and amongst the crowd. So making sure that they don't have a temperature ahead of time, washing their hands constantly.
And this is at the event,
At the event, too. Microphones. People don't always think about this, but making sure that, one, they're not using the same microphone that's being used by guests, and that all the microphones, including the ones that they use, are being sanitized on a regular basis.
And nowadays, in our occupation, you should be thinking about, if you have a service that requires a microphone, now is the time where you should be investing and spending the money on 2 of them. Because one should be for an MC and the other one should be for the guest.
And generally what we will do is have it on a mic stand so people don't have to touch anything. If it needs to be adjusted, the DJ will adjust the microphone to the proper height. and nobody else has to touch anything. And then we have sanitizer for the mic heads, which is the top portion, the windscreen, you would call it, I guess, that is going to keep any bacteria at bay. Also wearing masks. Now, a DJ cannot wear a mask while they're making announcements, but they can certainly do it while they're loading in. They can do it while they're operating the system. And having that mask, again, to prevent if they have to cough or sneeze or something, preventing from spreading any germs.
And I think the setup people, if you're working with setup people on your event, a floral team, a designer, that mask should be on in the room that they're setting up for you. It's not a big deal. But again, somebody like a DJ or maybe a photographer, unless the photographer is getting really close in your face, should have a mask on, or depending on the circumstances, have a mask off.
Yeah, and of course,
and we're not telling you like all your guests have to wear masks, because, ladies and gentlemen, I have done several events since Las Vegas has opened up, and I can tell you that at my events, none of the guests wore a mask.
The only people wearing masks were the people working the event.
Yeah, the servers.
But we still have to take proper precautions ourselves.
However, if I was in a situation as an MC, or if I was a photographer or a videographer where I was up close in someone's face, like maybe lining people up for a grand entrance for a wedding, then I would 100% be having a mask on. Absolutely. You're up close, you're personal, you're in someone's face, you got to put it on.
But if you're operating the DJ system and you're 20 feet from the closest person, again, probably not as critical, but when things start and people start coming up to you, having it to be able to put on is important. Hand sanitizer, that's kind of a no-brainer. Obviously, we all carry hand sanitizer. We're going to have to touch things.
We hope. Some of the cheap people would not have
this. That's why we're saying what we do and what we require of all of our people. And they also have to actually clean all of their equipment down, too. It's not just microphones. They have to wipe everything down multiple times. Guest interactions, we try to keep people 6 feet away. That doesn't always happen. But we try, if they are getting closer, that we make sure that we have our masks on.
And the old texting, the request. Whoever you're working with, you should have the cell phone of that person handy. So if you need to get a hold of them, at least you can just text them.
And the photo booth, which is critical, because photo booths, we've always prided ourselves in for years for having the best props. Well, for now, we're probably not going to be able to bring props. If we do bring props, you have to add an additional person. Why? Because they have to be, one, props that can be disinfected after every single use. So in other words, they get used, they get put onto a separate table, a separate person is going to sanitize them. They have to sit there for a while, then they go back into rotation. And then you're going to have an operator who's going to touch all the buttons and not allow any of your guests to touch it. So there are protocols that have to be in place for photo booths, but there's also virtual photo booth props that can be used as well.
And I see a lot of people are actually buying their own props, having them shipped to the vendor's office where they do business, and then they're opening these props right there at the event.
Yeah,
so they've been packaged, they've been sealed.
You just want to make sure that whatever props are used can be sanitized. Otherwise, they're kind of a one-use proposition.
Let me tell you, Pat, before the world went sideways, I couldn't tell you how disgusting some of the party props I've seen. And this is
at other events, or other
the way they were
companies,
the way they were just thrown into a box, and people would have to
and
dig
never
through.
Sanitized.
And this is before, folks.
We've always cleaned our props afterwards, and that's always been a standard for us. And before we've done that, we did that way before COVID. But we've seen some that just at the other, again, the bargain photo booth companies, they don't care. This is side hustle.
Well,
money
you're going to save a few $100s if you go with this company. And you'll probably wind up spending that money in an emergency room.
Yeah, right. Or at least for medication, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's critical to put these processes in place. We also have each one of our people sign a health certification that basically states that they haven't been exposed to COVID, they don't have any symptoms, and it's before every event. They have a whole questionnaire they have to follow through and fill out. Why? Well, and they have to be honest about it. Again, there is no perfect structure, but basically it's making them think about it. Okay, have I done this? Are they at risk? And it keeps them in the proper mindset. And it shows that they were doing everything possible before the event to not be exposed and to not expose other people.
I also think this is a really bad time for anyone to hire maybe a single op.
Yeah, unless
we haven't talked about this, but I'm just thinking about it now. Like, let's explain what a single op is.
A single op is essentially somebody who it's just them, either whether it's a DJ, photographer, or anything. I said it's just them, and they have nobody else that works for them. The reason being that where there could be problematic is if they do get sick, they're not going to have anybody to help them out. Now, there are exceptions to that. There are single ops that have relationships with other single ops that have backups that can call their buddy up and say, hey, dude, I'm not feeling good tonight. Are you available? Can you help me out? Now, it's important if you hire single ops, because there's some very talented single ops out there. I'm telling you right now, some of the top people are single ops. But make sure that they have backups just in case. Because if they do start feeling sick, they got to make sure that somebody is there to take their place to make sure that your event is covered.
Absolutely, because you do not want that person to get everybody at your event sick a few days later.
That's right. That's right. So we've looked at all of these procedures. Now, again, this is only what we've showed you is just scratching the surface. We literally have pages of policies and procedures that we go through to keep everybody safe, things that we have to do with each venue, conversations we have to have with these venues, where the equipment goes, how it gets stored, how it gets cleaned, how it gets before everything gets prepped, when everything comes back to the warehouse.
How early now do you have to get to your event?
Yeah, you have to get there even earlier now.
Right.
So that's critical. Now you're saying, wow, this is a lot, but what if I can't afford a professional? Well, if you can't afford a professional, you probably shouldn't be hiring that service. And it sounds blunt and sounds bad, but there are ways around that. And what I mean ways around that. One is to reduce the types of services that you have. You can hire a DJ for 3 hours instead of 4. You can hire a DJ that doesn't have the full lighting package, that doesn't have all of these extras, and still have a great time and save money. You can reduce, and this is the number one way to save money, folks. And I will tell you right now, and we've been telling this to people for decades, the number one way to reduce your budget is to reduce your guest list. Cool. And it sounds like, I can't do that. Absolutely you can. And guess what? Right now, people understand more than ever that it may not be in the budget to invite all of your friends and your friends' girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever. So you can keep it to a more intimate group. And from experience, I will tell you that we have parties for 20 and 30 people that absolutely rock, because everybody there knows each other. They love each other. They get along. It's not like, who's that?
No drama.
No drama. Yeah. Everybody's happy and they have a great time.
And people will understand, especially now in where we are in June of 2020. They're going to understand that you've cut your guest list.
Cut your guest list down from 200 to 100, or from 100 to 50, or whatever the limit is right now.
And the same thing goes with the other services too. Whether it's a photo booth, you don't have to have a 4-hour photo booth. You could do a 2-hour. Find out what your minimum is. Talk to your vendors, talk to your photographer, your videographer, your photo booth, whatever it is, talk to them. That's our main thing. Do not email. Talk. People, even if you text and say, is there a good time for me to reach out to you? You need to hear their voice. You need to hear their passion. You need to
lack thereof.
Right, exactly. So many times we'll pick up a sale because we're passionate about what we do, and the other person they called was like, yeah, $395. Yeah, okay, we'll be there. So that is critical. That is the number one mistake people make.
Not communicating with their vendors and seeing that why you'll probably notice why if you talk to that person who's half the price or a third of the price of that professional you were considering, you talk to them on the phone and go, ooh, now I see why.
Exactly.
Only takes a few questions and a few minutes of conversation.
And listen, your professionals will understand. Be honest. That's my next piece of advice. Yes. Be honest. Be honest with your professional. If you feel the price is too much money and you simply cannot afford that person, but you love them and you want to work with them, figure out a way where the two of you can come to a mutually beneficial agreement, because something can be done. Vendors will work with you. They're not stuck on it's got to be this way or no way at all. It depends on the time of year. I'll totally be honest with you on that. If you're looking for an October 10th wedding of 2020, you're not going to get that flexibility. But be honest. If you're having a wedding on July 11th and today is the 24th of June, then be honest with that vendor and just tell them, this is what I have to work with. What can we do to make it happen? And
Exactly.
you'd be pleasantly surprised. Don't be embarrassed. Don't feel embarrassed, because we all get it. We're all in the same boat. All of us. We may not, everybody says we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat, but we're all going different directions. So just be honest. That's the one thing. Be honest.
Because a lot of them will work with you, and a lot of it means, maybe not getting everything you want, but getting it at the quality level that you want.
And
that
being
you would expect.
safe. There's no price tag on being safe.
Absolutely. And that's what you talked about dates too. You want to talk about saving money. If you want to do something on October 10th, 10/10, guess what? You're not going to find any deals. But if you did it on the 8th, or you did it on the 12th, you did a weekday, or you did a Friday, or an off day, or an afternoon one, there are probably a lot more affordable options there, especially with your venue. And again, your venue is going to be your biggest single ticket item. Okay. So if you can reduce that by half because you picked a different day and you reduce the size of your guest list, that saves a lot of money for the other things that you want to do and do well.
Absolutely. And remember, you can't have an event without a venue. So
this is a non-do-over event. These are non-do-over events. You can't go back and redo, especially if it's a wedding or a special event like that. Corporate events, sometimes if you have a bad year, it's not as big a deal. But
you just don't bring that company back.
Yeah.
You're like, well, we had them.
But still, for most special event stuff, it's a once in a lifetime day and event. You don't get to redo it. So you either have bad memories of that event or you have great memories of that event. And that doesn't change based on the amount of money you spend. It changes based on how smartly you spend that money. The best bargain is not the cheapest. Okay, that's not the best bargain. And quite often it's rarely the best bargain. It's kind of like saying, hey man, I found a 72 Pinto for $12,000. Not a good bargain. Well, if I found a brand new Mercedes, a GL 430 for $13 or $15 or $20 or $30,000, that's an awesome bargain, right? So if you get a $50,000 or $60,000 vehicle for half price, man, you're doing great. If you get a jalopy for 10 times the value, then not so much. So your bargain is not based on the overall amount you spend. It's based upon how much you're getting per dollar spent, how much experience, how much time. What are they putting into it? Are they just taking your money and showing up to your event and not putting any other effort into it? Or they actually care? And we've talked about that too. You have to find people that care. The only people that are going through all of this and figuring this out are people that care. People that don't care, guess what? It's not worth their effort.
Right.
Again,
they're not posting what they're doing to keep you safe. If they don't care, they're not doing that. They're in it for just whatever side hustle money they can get.
And look, there's a lot of places that you can cut back. You can reduce you can look at your centerpieces and say, I still want something nice, but maybe I spend $50 less per centerpiece. Maybe I cut back on the open bar. Maybe I do it for only an hour or 2 hours instead of 4 hours. Maybe I don't put the super expensive options on the food. Whatever. There's a lot of little places that you can cut back that, again, you'll never remember or notice when everything is said and done. You have to spend the money on the areas that are going to affect your event the most. I will tell you that if you have bad entertainment, you have a bad event, period. And your DJ or your band can ruin your event quicker and mess up everybody else's job more than any other single service. Being that we've done this for so long, I can tell you, because the fact that we do photo and video and everything else as well, we've seen DJs that have ruined events and ruined it for everybody else, made everybody else's job difficult as well.
Yep.
So that's why we're saying worst time to ever be cheap. Talk to your vendors, get to know, put the time in. If this event is important for you, it should also be important for them, and you should spend the time to talk to them. So email doesn't accomplish that. Text doesn't accomplish that. Talk to the person on the other end of the line. Find out who it is that runs the company and who they're going to be sending out to you, and see if they're passionate about what they do and if they actually care. And does it matter to them if they're here in a year or 5 or 10 years or not? Or is this just side hustle money?
And are they going to keep you safe? And what are they doing to keep you safe during these times?
So that being said, we could talk for hours on the importance of this, but what we'll do is we'll end you with this. If you have questions about this, if you have questions about just anything in general about your event, we're here to help. We're here to answer questions. We're here to show you how passionate we are about what we do and what we're doing to keep everybody safe. Not just us, but everybody safe.
And if you'd like to reach out to us, you could reach us at, we'll put all the contact information in the bottom link, our Instagram, our Facebook, our website. It'll all be there for you, our Pinterest, whatever it is. I am Jody Harris, the CEO of FUN, of Sight and Sound Events. I'm also the president of the Las Vegas Wedding Chamber of Commerce.
And I'm Pat Harris. I'm the one that keeps the wheel spinning here. So I'm the nerd.
Yes.
I'm the nerd. Yes.
He's great. We've been in business for 25 years.
In Vegas.
And married for... Well, we got to go, folks. Be safe, everybody.
Be safe. And please feel free to call us and ask us any questions. And stay safe out there, everybody.